Hey everyone, welcome back to Rapid Updates, where we identify, summarize and comment on developments that impact access to new healthcare technologies. We only look at resources that are in the public domain. So this video update covers the recent annual report of the Board of Healthcare Funders in Sub-Saharan Africa, and the second update relates to biosimilar utilization and access and use in European countries. So the first update, BHF recently released their annual report 2020, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of interesting points that when I go through them, it's always useful to keep a track of. So first is related to their membership base. They cover medical scheme administrators and health insurance companies in various sub-Saharan African countries, including Zambia's NHI fund. Namibia is also included amongst quite a few others. And then of interest is the changes that may have taken place over the past year in the membership base. What is glaringly obvious and that is not here is Discovery Health medical scheme, which is the largest player in South Africa. There's a long-standing, rivalry in a sense between Board of Healthcare Funders leadership and Discovery Health, and that will become a little bit more apparent later on in the presentation of this annual report. But the usual large players are here. MedScheme Administrator down in Cape Town, Government Employees Medical Scheme is there, and other schemes that are based in Pretoria are not here. For instance, MediHelp. They do collaborate with BHF, but they're not listed as a member. BestMed is also not listed here at the moment. And also Mediscore as a managed care organization. But as I mentioned, there is membership, BHF membership in Botswana, Namibia, that I've already mentioned, and then also a little bit further down is Lesotho, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and also Swaziland. So so that's in terms of membership update. Updates from the chairperson. Primary focus of the past 12 months has been COVID-19, of course, and this is what gave rise to the alternative reimbursement models recent report released by BHF. A major focus at BHF has been here on the fraud, waste and abuse of their business, so still collaborating with members and non-members in sharing data between them to address fraudulent cases and overutilization and within the medical scheme industry. Sharing of information I've already mentioned, and then they've also created an inpatient admissions dashboard that we'll look at a little bit closer. And the purpose here is to report data that is given to the BHF by member companies on national and provincial inpatient admissions, as well as the reasons for their admission. So for researchers such as us, and perhaps for you as well listening to this video, this information may be useful for purposes of tracking these inpatient admissions and how they fluctuate over a period of time. But the MDs report is always a little bit more insightful. So here they're talking about that COVID-19 was declared a prescribed minimum benefit, requiring medical schemes to provide full coverage, including diagnostic tests and any potential hospitalizations that may arise afterwards. It still does require, though, that clinical protocols and formularies should apply, and also the application of designated service providers. Medical schemes may continue to utilize these tools in order to manage the cost and utilization. But what the BHF is reporting is that an emerging set of new healthcare technologies to manage COVID-19, not just in the current context, but it's very likely that these new healthcare technologies will remain in the future as key elements of a service delivery model, and also the benefits that are provided by medical schemes. So artificial intelligence in diagnostics, chatbots, business intelligence and analytics platforms, 3D printing, predictive analytics, precision medicine, blockchain, digital contact tracing, and interoperability. So a lot to consider here, and no doubt in the future there'll be a lot more to digest and to talk about how these technologies are applied and the benefits of them, of course. Other sections of this report that may be useful is an illustration of the national dashboard that I just mentioned of inpatient admissions. So have a look at this if you're interested. This is at the provincial level. This is the provincial level. This is the national level, aggregated information, and it disaggregates it by gender, number of admissions, type of admission, emergency, medical necessity, elective care, or COVID-19, and how these change over a period of time, and kind of extracting longitudinal data is also very useful for analytic purposes. And the point that I raised a little bit earlier on is the long-standing antagonistic relationship between Discovery Health and the Board of Healthcare Funders relates to the low-cost benefit option, which is under legal. Let me just get there. Give me a second to scroll to that part. Is this part over here, and this is really important to keep a track of, because this impacts the affordability of different health insurance products that are available in the South African market. And essentially what this document or section of the document is summarizing is that Discovery Health's activities to bring to market a low cost benefit option is blocked. So there's a prohibition on the further enrollment of new members on the Discovery Comprehensive Primary Care or Essential Care until early 31st of May 2021, or alternatively until the implementation of a low-cost benefit option framework is put in place. Independently speaking, and frankly speaking, it's a shame that there is this the nature of this toing and froing of appealing CMS decisions, because hundreds of thousands of patients in South Africa will rely and depend on the introduction of a low-cost benefit option. So the sooner that we see Discovery Health, Board of Healthcare Funders, Council for Medical Schemes, and their legal team seeing eye to eye on the introduction of a low-cost benefit option, the better for South African public, and the potentially increase competition as well. So keep one eye on this evolution in the future, and in which direction it heads. So I think I'll step off this update and progress on to the next one that relates to biosimilars and its utilization in Europe. This is a recent report by the WHO Collaborating Center for Pharmaceutical Pricing and Reimbursement Policies. These were the set of co-authors, and what they studied was the use of biosimilars in European countries and the potential impact on pharmaceutical expenditure. They were interested here in looking at the savings that may result from biosimilars, and they looked at a group of 16 different European countries, and assess the potential savings when applying different policy options and pricing options to Germany specifically. And we'll look at the tables. I strongly suggest that you extract this paper. It's publicly available. Read through it, because the different options to achieve savings is pretty interesting to have a look at. It may be suggestive of policy directions that different payers may wish to pursue in Middle East, Sub-Saharan Africa, and also Eastern Europe. But they look at 6 funded biologic molecules, and a final concluding remark. But before I get there, I want to read this section over here, because I think it's really potent. And several countries use a price link policy, setting the biosimilar price as a percentage of the price of the reference biological. Now, this is utilized fairly frequently. Also, lowering the price of the reference biologic upon market entry of a biosimilar is less frequently used. While tendering of biosimilar medicines in the inpatient setting is the norm, it is rarely employed for biosimilars in outpatient setting. Reference price systems and INN prescribing of medicines are the commonly used policy measures in the rather off-patent market, but more countries define exemptions for these biologics. Substituting biosimilars at the pharmacy level is rather an exception. Potential savings in Germany range from 5, which is kind of low, up to 55, which is promising for 6 studied molecules. And despite some differences, there are discernible tendencies. And I wouldn't have really utilized the word tendencies. I would have rather substituted it with differences. There are discernible differences across European countries with regard to the application of certain policy measures. And when you read the paper, those differences will become fairly apparent. Notably is table 6 in the study, and again I encourage you to download this, read it, and also apply your own analysis. But here's table 6, this one over here, and this refers to the different scenarios. Scenario 1 that I just mentioned, scenario number 2, scenario 3, this one here, 4, and the final scenario. And these are all pricing strategies. So European prices benchmarking the current molecule to the lowest option that's available in other European countries. And the definition for each of these pricing approaches is provided in table 1. So please be sure to go back there and have a look at it. So for example, European prices here is defined as the German price would be substituted by the lowest observed price of that medicine among the surveyed countries, right? And these are then the next 5 options. And then table 6 presents those results. And what's really interesting to have a look at is which is the most impactful in terms of percentage reduction in price, aka potential savings that would be achieved. So applying the lowest price option in scenario 1 for each of these molecules that are listed here would result on average, let's say approximately 55%, whereas the other scenarios, scenario 2 is fairly low, scenario 3 is 15% reduction of the original branded product, reference price system or reference price system anchored to a European price would also generate comparable savings. So these are all different potential approaches that could be applied, and it's certainly very interesting that the 2 top marks in scenarios is this one over here in scenario number 5, because this is based on the lowest price option that's available within the European market. But it certainly doesn't mean that the other options wouldn't be relevant, perhaps on a disease area by disease area basis or molecule by molecule, or to address the very specific circumstances that a particular market may be facing. So with that as a wrap, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye.